it. Okay, and we are live again. And I told Ken, I said, whatever you do, don't touch anything. He keeps touching stuff. I don't know what to do. Look at him. So he's got his pen. I told him, don't touch anything. So I don't know. I hope you guys are coming back because we have an amazing live in store for you today. I bet some of these guys are thinking, man, they'll never show back up again. But you know what? We're troopers. We don't take no for an answer. And we just keep on keeping on. So Ken, welcome to the F&I on the Edge. Boy, let me tell you, it does get a little edgy around here. So come on in and tell us, you know, who you are, what you've been doing, and all that good stuff. So have at
it. Well, you and I go back a long way.
We sure do. We go back. Oh my gosh. How many years? Yeah.
2001, 2002.
Yeah.
But so I started in 1991 selling cars at a Ford store.
Okay.
And moved up the ranks. Did F&I think Brian mentioned. I did F&I like 50 years ago. It was nowhere near that long ago. But I did 6-7 years finance.
Yeah.
And that's how you and I know each other, because I've had you come into stores that I was general manager of or associated with and do training.
Mm-hmm.
But so 29 years now, automotive business. Never looked back once I got into the business. Now I'm doing all kinds of things. A lot of collaborative work with folks like yourself, and look forward to doing more with you. Several big dealer groups. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm a partner in Dealer Metrics, which is a digital ad agency, and I do a lot of work with Skip Susi with Edifice.
Yeah. So a lot of good stuff there. So here's the thing, Ken. Ken, you and I have been on the phone. I can tell you how many different times talking about how many different topics, what's going on in the industry. And I mean, we could be on the phone for at least an hour long, really getting and talking about all the stuff that's really happening. And it was kind of ironic because you actually came, you actually sent your people to a workshop, and it was all about, you know, this menu selling. And you were very innovative thinker back in 20 years ago, really, right? Is that about right? Almost close?
That was 01 or 02.
So go figure, that much time has gone by. But we were talking to your folks about, hey, we're gonna do this stuff up front. Customers are gonna understand their base payment, their terms, and all that good stuff before we go ahead and present products. And they were like floored, how is this ever going to work? And, you know, so you and I had these conversations, and I said, you know what, in order for it to work, it's got to start up where? Up at the head, up at the top. And the top really has to have a better understanding as to the reasons why we do what we do and how this whole thing really can make a big difference in obviously selling more cars, because we want to make sure we do that. But also the importance is to maximize profits and reduce dealership liability and retain more customers, right? I mean, I think that's kind of, you know, what dealers are, you know, trying to think through. And so you and I both had this conversation, and I told you what I wanted to do on my F&I Today group. And I wanted to find out, you know, and the reason why I went there was because I can tell you how many times I talk to even dealers who say, when is enough enough? When does the PVR become a little bit overboard? And I really I put that question out there for everyone, because when does F&I become, that F&I PVR become a little too much? And then when is it like not enough? You know, when do we draw the line? Where do we draw the line? Is it $500 per car? Is it $750? Is it $1,000? What is that number, Ken?
You know, that when you told me what the conversation was going to be,
yeah,
and you said, well, do we need to talk about it first? I said, no. I mean, this is crazy. Now, I'll tell you one way to do a podcast or anything like this where nobody wants to watch it is to talk about things like compliance or liability, but it's a real thing.
That's true.
And that's what brings this whole thing up. What's too much? So the other piece of that is how many dealer groups are out there saying, I'd love to have that problem, right? I'd love to have.
I think, okay, $2,500 a car, and granted, I mean, might be trucks, and it could be highline vehicles and that sort of stuff. I mean, I quite get that, but let's talk about the average. Let's really, let's really talk about the average deal. And if I'm running $1,500 per car as an automotive group, I'm talking an automotive group. You have your domestic, you might have some imports, you have Subaru, you've got a good blend. And is it 1,500? Is it $2,000? Where do we draw the line? And, I mean, be it for me, I mean, I want to go all the way, whatever it takes, right? But at the end of the day, does that mean that, I don't know, maybe we're pushing a little bit too hard, or, are we losing customers because of it? Are we getting a little too greedy? I don't know. So, I mean, I kind of feel like I do know, because I get into the dealerships. I'm in the trenches. I know what I see. And, you and I both talked about product pricing consistency.
Mm-hmm.
We had product pricing consistency 20 years ago, but I don't think some of these guys are paying attention or even know what that means.
Yeah, so we talked about that earlier. I think there's a lot of folks that don't really know what that means. It's not that anyone's being boxed in on what they can make, but I would tell you, you should present X service contract to each customer at the same starting point. That's how you keep yourself out of a trick bag as far as did you discriminate or did you take advantage of someone? I mean, you can run big numbers. There's no mistake. You can do it. You can run big numbers. You can do it the right way. That being said, I mean, you do have to check up behind your people. I mean, what would keep me awake at night are like new hires or some dramatic change when a department goes from 800 to $3,000 or something. You got to look. I mean, and I'll just tell you from my history, anytime I see things like that, mm-hmm. I find stuff. When I go pull a bunch of deals, because I got a feeling I need to look at a bunch of deals, I generally find some.
How many dealers do you really think are actually taking the initiative to pull some of these deals and find out, okay, it's getting a little bit overboard. I really need to get in there and start pulling some deals. And then while we're at it, many of these dealers are going digital. So what are they looking at when they pull them? What are they really looking at? When you're going digital menu, where does all this the paper trail really lie at? Where does it?
That's very good point, because it's hard to track a digital menu, isn't it?
Yeah, it sure is. I mean, yeah, stamps and stuff like that, but let's face it. There's a lot of sly stuff that's happening. And there's some F&I people who haven't really bought into this digital menu presentation anyway. And so they go back and forth on what is actually presented to the customer on that digital menu versus what's not. So it's interesting because, I mean, there's really not that much of a paper trail that you can determine how we got from point A to point D, right? See, so what are the steps that, and how did we, what was presented to the customer first? And I know some of the digital menus offer that capability that you can get back into the system and actually see some of that timestamp presented to the customer. But, I will say this. I will say that at least when I did the audits and we sometimes had the paper menu in the deal jacket, that really sort of kind of helped to give me a good idea as to whether or not it was being presented and the products that were being presented at what price point that they were being presented. So, yeah.
So I don't think your huge back end deals are going to be digital. We're probably not there yet. There's money there. I'm not saying that, but I'm also not saying there's anything wrong with making money before we get all the comments and everyone typing in that I'm all for it. There's nothing wrong with making money. It's just do it the right way. And you do have to protect the dealer from liability.
So we have Mr. Bob Richards who's saying hello. Mr. Bob Richards, hello. Good to see you. Sean Weatherby. Hey, Sean. Good to see you. And Anthony Santangelo.
Anthony.
He's here for you. And there's Becky Rocks it. Her voice even echoes the fact. You know it. I have no idea who I'm speaking with, but you know what? You know it. It's right. It's probably Brian. And then we got Frederick. Hey, Frederick, subprime hero. We love you, Frederick. And we've got Richie Bello. Hey, Richie. Good. Hey, good to see you, Mr. Richie Bello. I'm telling you right now, what a terrific guy he is. I love Richie Bello. He's amazing, good people. And what do you do when you are subprime and you get capped? Do you take the 200 prop? This is good for you, Ken. I'm going to let you have this one. What do you do when you are subprime and get capped? Do you take the $200 profit in the warranty or the $700 on the gap? Or do you go with your conscience and do the right thing?
Well, what does your conscience tell you on that in that particular case?
Well, he's probably talking about, go all the way with the service contract, I guess, and hold back on the gap. I don't know. I mean, that's what I'm thinking. I don't know. Is that what you're saying? What do you do when you are subprime and you get capped? Do you take the 200 profit in the warranty or the 700 on the gap? Oh, I see. So it's more money on the gap versus the service contract. Sorry. Okay. So
I got no issue with taking the money. No issue with that because Gap's a good product. You're not hurting them at 700. That's really, it's kind of like this whole thing is really a dealer or dealer group decision. Because if you're going to run $2,000, $2,500, $2,800 on the back, someone's decided to do that. And someone's decided at a high level, that's maybe they're price leader. Maybe they hold back on trades. I mean, I know all about being a price leader and holding back on trades and making it an F&I dependent store. And if that's the case, those guys got to run $2,000, $2,500 a car.
Hey, Christine, nice to meet you. It's been nice to meet you. Nice to see you. Sorry about that. Good to see that you're on with us. But here's how I feel about this whole thing. I feel that we have to do a better job in being more consistent in our approaches. I think that every time we wing it and shoot from the hip, right? And really try to kind of, I think that's where we're not as profitable. I think when we pick and choose our battles, really diminishes our overall profits, Ken. And so I realize that you have your subprime deals, but why not ask for more money down? Why are we taking it for granted that, I don't know, maybe sometimes customer doesn't have money down, but are we really asking? Is that what, are you really, have you really even asked? And I know a lot of times we haven't. I mean, you're taking for granted from the desk that we have no money down. And here's the other thing. One of my pet peeves is the fact that we're not going out there and we're not doing interviews and we're not meeting customers before they ever make their way into the F&I office. And you know what's crazy is that, especially now more so than ever before, we haven't figured it out that it just makes more sense to get engaged with the customer earlier on before they make their way into an F&I office. What the frick is up with that shit? I mean, why in the hell are you not doing that? Why wouldn't you review some of that information he's got a lab or two? He's got a lot of dogs there.
That's
So
what
I'll just say, yeah, and this dog's gonna get. I'm telling you, but she's a good dog. He's a good dog. And so here's the thing. I just don't get why we wouldn't want to do our due diligence before the customer ever makes their way into the F&I office. And maybe I don't know what's so freaking hard about asking for additional monies down. But you know what? Some of you do it, but a lot of you don't. Let's face it, a lot of you don't do that. And I think that one last shot can't hurt. Ken, what are your thoughts about that?
No, you're right. But getting involved early is the key to that too, because you build some rapport. You're on their side. You're out there talking to them, trying to figure out, the answer, putting the puzzle together to get it bought and to get it set up. That's when you
See, here's
have your shot.
It does. And here's the thing that gets me. I put it out there, Ken. I put it out there. And I'm feisty as I'm really feisty. But the thing that gets me is that now in your store, different. But I have been in other stores, and frankly, I don't see desk managers getting off the desk and taking TOs and validating and verifying information. I see a lot of shit getting submitted to these banks and not verifying any of it. And then I wonder, okay, well, how do you know whether or not this is, back in the day, Ken, and I hate to age myself, I really do. I don't like aging myself. But back in the day, we got involved earlier on. My job was to make a deal better. It was all about making a deal better, validating the customer information. The more information that I got to go ahead and put a deal together, it made all the difference. There are some times that we didn't realize the customer made additional income. There are times that, I didn't know that a customer, I don't know, maybe was leasing an apartment or whatever and had that additional income or even additional monies down. Those are things that unless you get involved and take that TO, you just don't know. And that's our job as an F&I person, to assure that not only the information that's being submitted, for crap's sake, is correct, and we're doing our job to validate the information to get a better approval. So where do we stand there?
I don't think there are many sales managers that are going to tell a finance person he can't go out there. He or she can't go talk to them. Most of them be happy to let someone go talk to somebody that's close to doing a car deal.
You'd be surprised about that. Can I tell you how many times I've sat there and I've had sales managers bitch left and right, and I'm just telling it the way that I see it, okay? And they're bitching because, come on now, we don't have all time. We got to get that customer in that F&I office. Let's go. We're selling cars today. Let's make this deal happen. You don't have time to go out there and make that deal happen. Meanwhile, you don't even know if you got a straight deal or not. And they're bitching left and right because you know what? We don't have time for this. We're not valid. We don't have, we're trying to sell cars today. You coming out here and messing up with my world is like, I don't know, but I'm not into it. I'm not saying everyone is like that. There are sales managers like, hey, come on out here, work a deal with me. I really want to see more of you, and we're not seeing a lot of that. So we get it both, but on both sides. Happens on both sides. But you would think, with what's going on in the industry today, with this coronavirus, that at least we stop for a minute to think about our practices and say, you know what, are we doing this the right way? Are we really doing things the right way? Do we not want to go ahead and engage customers earlier on, F&I, earlier on before they ever bring a customer into the F&I office? You would think some of that has happened. Richie Bello, just trying to be like you, brother. I really appreciate all your encouragement, my friend. And then we've got Brandon. I work with a biweekly payment provider. What are your opinions on that? It's a game-changing closing tool.
I know what it is. I've never worked with it. I'd be interested to hear that it's a game changer. I mean, it's something the customer hasn't heard before.
Well, I'll tell you my opinion on it. Don't shoot me. I don't know. And I'm just not sold on a biweekly payment. I've known it for years. I've smart payment. I don't even want to bring names up. I really am not looking to do that. But I can tell you, yes, there's some advantages to it. There really is. But trying to train F&I people on it, it is a real headache. Some of these guys just can't wrap their heads around it. They just can't. And really explain it the way that they need to explain it. And the total cost of making that come together. And, you know, there's still cost involved. I agree that it shortens the term by 6 months on a 72 month. And, you know, by doing that, it's actually saving you 6 months in finance charges. So therefore, you can afford the extra service contract. And I get all the reasons why we do it. I mean, I do, but it is really a tough, you're asking me, a tough way to go when we're training that up in F&I. And there's not many F&I. I mean, there's some good ones out there that really get it and understand it and work with it. But you talk about, if you don't know what you're talking about, you can really confuse the customer and get yourself into a real headache with that one. Just saying. But you know, for some, it's really worked out great. Agreed, Rebecca. Have to do it means more gross. Okay, I'm not sure exactly what that means, but you do. It does mean more gross, and I'm going to assume that you're saying when you get out there and meet customers out at the salesperson's desk, or even at the desk, for crap's sake. How many times has it been that I'm up there at the desk where, you know, these guys don't want me, but I'm there anyway? And the reason why is because two heads are always better than one. I really want to help and get involved. I mean, before you give up my profit, how about you let me do that first? What do you think about that, Ken?
That's how it all started. You know, back when I was doing F&I used to tell the sales manager, look, when you get to the point where we're at, you know, buy rate and they're wanting you to throw in a service contract or something, you know, let me get involved, please. Let me go save
That's right.
every time.
I never do anything about something that doesn't make me any money. I mean, who does that? I mean, I found that if I could get out there, whether it be on the desk or whether it be whatever you want to call it, and the sooner I could get out there and get involved and know my deal was straight up before that customer made their way into the F&I office, I made a fortune. I mean, you know, and I just never thought to myself, oh, it's really smart to let the customer come into my F&I office and clean up a deal for someone and then try to be profitable at the same time. I mean, if I have to, I guess I'll do it. But if I don't have to, and I have the chance of going out there and meeting a customer earlier on, it's just not corny shit. I'm not talking about, you know, some of the corny. I'm talking about really getting to know a customer, really trying to build a little bit rapport, because that goes a long way. So does credibility, right? And I'll be damned if I want to go and type paperwork 2 and 3 times over. Why do I want to do that? It doesn't make any sense to me. And then while I'm doing it, oh, by the way, let's go ahead and turn on the attorney, right? And then we're looking at all the documents in the deal. And, you know, you just lose your credibility. It's stupid. So why wouldn't I want to do a little bit of fact finding? Take about 5 to 10 minutes, review some of this information, make sure it's straight up right. And while I'm at it, let's find out about the reasons for the payback history. And I got to tell you something. How many times it just amazes me, but it's like, I mean, if I am in a private setting, and I'm reviewing customer information, what's wrong with that? Why do I have to take him in the back office somewhere? You know, I mean, salespeople don't have to do that. and we were validating information. What's the difference? So I just think that we come up with a lot of lame excuses why we can't get that done. And I think that in of itself, I don't even like to call it an interview, but just getting out there and engaging and getting that information earlier on just makes a lot more sense. And so does, when we talk about this, and Ken, you and I have talked about the F&I online experience, and why wouldn't you want to do that? Why wouldn't you want to shorten the time it takes to get the customer on the right car before they come into a dealership? Maybe you can address this a lot and see it from the other side. Because I just don't, waiting for a customer to come in, like traditional Florida, come in, go shopping for a car, come in, land them on a car maybe 2-3 hours later, and then find out the customer doesn't qualify for whatever car. And that doesn't happen, right? And then we try to have to figure shit out. And then meanwhile, you're trying to go ahead and squeeze this customer into a vehicle at a certain payment or budget they may or may not qualify for. And it really gets kind of ugly, not only for the dealer, but obviously for a customer. So what's the benefit in doing that?
Well, it can be avoided. I mean, just like you're talking about, the customer is probably the most apprehensive after they've gone through the sales process, regardless of where they buy a car, right? And it takes a long time. That's a whole nother discussion about how long it takes. The best thing a finance person can do is go out there and get to know the customer before they're in the office. I mean, from what I see, more recently than anything, customers want to talk to you finance folks. They know what you do. They've probably been through it before, but they want to talk to you because what do they ask you? What's the rate? But we've learned we can't dodge that one. We've got to go ahead and get that one addressed because it calms them right down once we get over that hurdle. Then they're wide open to everything else we got to talk about. But the main thing they want to know is, who am I dealing with next? What kind of experience is this going to be? What am I getting ready to go through? And if you go out there and you talk to them, you say, look, I got you. I got this. This is going to be fine. Come on, I'm going to take care of you. Here's what I'm doing. Give them a time expectation. I think your chances to make your money go up probably 80%.
I know. And they just cause some luck out and they're able to go ahead and bring a customer in to the F&I office, sling the deal and do pretty well without the interview. So they're like, I don't really need this shit. So what a waste of time.
That all depends on the customer too. So if you're in a store and you got 750 beacons or higher, you ain't going to just sling them all in there and run real good numbers. You're going to have to develop some rapport. And you're going to have to come up with a way to get to know that customer before they're sitting in front of you, looking at their watch, wanting to know how much longer it's going to take, because that's never good.
Sandy, you look amazing. What are you doing? Probably getting rest. Is that me or is that Ken?
I don't think I look like I've been getting rest.
I've been getting a lot of rest lately, Sandy. Can you tell? Holy crap. I mean, it's been amazing. I mean, I told Ken I'm freaking stuck here, it seems. But that's all good, because I'm going through my, my yen thing. But the thing is that, I don't know, so Ken, what is the F&I number? Is it too high? I mean, is there any limit to an F&I PDR?
I'm glad we came back to that. I just wrote that down too.
Yeah. I knew I'd get back to it sooner or later.
So again, somebody made a decision somewhere in a store that says 1,800's the number, whether it's Auto Nation or Lithia or any of these other big groups. And I think when that decision's made, you can hire people and say, this is what it takes to stay employed, and you're going to get it done. And if ultimately, here's what I think. I think if it's, and let's just put the PACs and all, let's just leave that alone, because yes, it's a real factor. And, whether we sell from cost or not, that's a whole nother discussion. But if it's 1,500, if it's 1,800, if it's 2,500, if I see someone running 2,500 a car, I'm going to audit those deals. That's just me. Now, I hope that they're perfect. I'm not auditing them because I want to find something wrong. But you just don't see it done right very often. That doesn't mean that people aren't doing it right. But if it is 2,500, let's just do it the right way. The CSI's got to be there. You can't have, you go look at the F&I managers, go look at their phones. If they go home at night and the message indicator is blinking, you got problems. I check that. Anytime I'm in a store, they should never leave with messages, because you don't want people with problems calling and then putting their own fires out and that kind of thing. Whatever the number is, it just got to be done right. And, not to offend anybody, but there's nothing wrong with, the old trust but verify. You got to do some deal auditing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So how many actually, I don't know, F&I providers are actually going into stores and actually doing audits today, do you think?
What was that again? How many?
F&I providers are actually going in there, because, here's the thing. And I think it's important to mention that F&I, when you have an F&I partner, a provider, they should hold a very important position in the dealership. They need to be the second voice, right? And I know some of them get a little bit uncomfortable with that, because, it's all about, hey, I don't want to screw up this deal. I don't want to get this GM all upset with me because I told him, hey, by the way, or I told the dealer, oh, by the way, these deals aren't getting right. They're not coming in right into the F&I office. We're not seeing menus. We've got it all jacked up. And meanwhile, they don't want to tell the truth, because you know what? If they come clean, the dealer or the GM might say, you know what, you need to be out of here. You know what? I don't play. I need somebody protecting me. I need someone who's got my back. How many times has that happened? And so now we have F&I providers walking in there, and they're like, really, they're not even auditing deals. They don't want to know. And they don't want nothing to do with it. And they're there to pick up policies. They don't want to have that conversation. They don't want to have the come to Jesus conversation that really should be taking place at the dealership, that they should have. Sometimes it could be like, who in the hell are you to tell me this? Well, I've got your back. That's why I'm here. That's why you hire me, because I got your back, and I'm going to tell you the way that it is. But you know what? That shit is not happening.
You just go right at it, don't you?
I do.
You don't hold back
nothing. That's the freaking truth. And I don't know if people are watching this, but the reality of it is that, Ken, that's what's going on. We don't have these heart-to-heart conversations because agents might be afraid. Hell, I don't need a dealer blowing up on me. I don't want that GM blowing up on me, giving me a freaking hard time because I told it the way that it was. And the next thing you know, I'm out. But
here's the question, right?
Conversations are so important.
So here's the question. So I get it. So what if there's an audit and it's the star that we see that are real active on social media, and they get mad when we have these kind of conversations. They're running 2,800 the right way. What happens if we do an audit, or if an audit's done,
mm-hmm.
and that person is doing things that we know aren't right? So is that rep, that's a star. Maybe he recommended him for the job, him or her. I mean, the question is, that puts them in a spot, and it depends. That's the question of picking the right partner, and I think that's where you're going with that. But who's going to have that conversation with the dealer? Hey, by the way, your guy that put 180 grand on the books last month.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. And I know, I tell you what, I have people that love me, and I have people that just like want to, but I tell it the way it is, and I feel like over the years, it has served me well. I mean, other times, they'd rather not have me around, but at least I know I can sleep at night. And at least I know that, you know what? I told it the way that it was. You can sugarcoat it all you want. You can pretend it's not happening, but the reality of it is, it is. And so when your guy gets caught or gal gets caught doing shit that they shouldn't be doing, you know what? We did have that conversation. I did tell you to protect your butt. Now you might have just said, as a dealer, you might have said, whatever, there is that gray line, well, whatever. And I'm like, okay, I'm good with it as long as you are. It's your store, not mine. I don't have a felony coming against me or having a chance of losing my dealership over some stupid person in F&I who can't seem to get it straight. But as long as you know about that, we're all good. What's up?
But the sad piece of that is when the stuff hits the fan, who's going to be out of a job? Not the dealer.
Who's going to be out of the job?
That's right.
Who is? Oh, you got caught. Oh, right. Oh well. Okay, all right. So you got caught. So that's too bad. So sad. And that, again, this is where it gets really uncomfortable for some of these F&I providers. I think it's important to go in and, you know what, this is what I do. This is what I'm going to do. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This is what it is. And you know what? Here it is. And you got to have this communication with your dealer. You got to have a communication with our general managers. And you go, buddy, I love you to death. You're a great guy, but here's the reality of it. Deal with it. This is, and I think when we can, this is where we get the greatest impact. And, we reduce this liability that, that can likely happen if we're not doing what we need to do. So that being said, what do you suppose is like the least, so there's 2,500, $3,000. I don't know. I don't know if I'm a believer in that, to be honest with you. So I want some solid performance. And I'm thinking $1,500, $1,700 for me, $1,500, $1,700 per car on average. And again, I'm not talking about your trucks and that sort of stuff. Obviously it's higher, but then when we look at that, is that on reserve or is that product penetration? How much product penetration do we have in that whole PVR piece, right? So I'll see a lot of that happening too, because we have these $50,000, $75,000, $100,000 trucks now anymore, right? I mean, it doesn't take much to go ahead and hold a point. Next thing you know, you're at what? 15, $2,000 just in reserve. So you have to look at that reserve and also product earned too, right? That really make a big difference in that whole thing. So I don't know. So, but what's the minimum?
So I'm with you, by the way, on the number. I think it's 15, 17, 1,800 done the right way. I think that's a good job, and those guys are doing it right. I think nowadays, I think if you're 900, 1,000 a car, I think you're in trouble.
How much?
If you're running 900, sub 1,000.
I hope dealers are sitting here and watching this deal, because you know what? How many deals? And this is what blows me away. And you guys are going to be like, what blows you away, Beck? Ken, what blows me away is that I have more dealers coming to my training that are running over $1,200 per car than dealers that should be coming to my training that allow $700 per car people. And I'm like, what are y'all doing? How is that allowed to happen? And it's all the time. And it's like, like I said, I get these superstars who always show up. I want to do better. 1,200 is not enough for me. That was like your store. It was like, well, Becky, we got the 1,200, man. I want to be at 1,500. That was 20 years ago. And you didn't take no for an answer. And it was like, we want more. And I'm going to tell you something. I got some high producing dealers that like, no. We're always going to go for more. But that $700 PVR guy, you can't drag them into a workshop. And if they show up, they seem to know everything. You can't teach them shit. They're like, Becky, let me tell you how my customers are. We have these customers.
This is bad. This is really bad.
It's so true. I mean,
you know why this is bad? Because the 700 a car person,
yeah,
their paperwork's really clean.
They're not even, I don't know, maybe they're clean. I don't know.
Their paperwork's neat. They get funded quick, and the office loves them. But that's always how it goes.
That's probably true. That's probably true. And, their deal is, definitely funded, easy. They make everybody's life easy. But you know what? Come on. And their product penetrations in the toilet. You've got 37% service contract. 37% service contract penetration. Who does that? Little to no tire and wheel product sales. Are you serious today? With the roads the way that they are, and you've got little to no tire and wheel product penetration? I don't know. It's just crazy. But they have all, I'm not pounded, but open up your ears a little bit and say, you know what? And here's the thing. They also go, wow, the reason why I'm at $700 per car is because our clientele is a whole hell of a lot more difficult. It just is. We're just more difficult. I don't know. Maybe they are more difficult, right? It's region. Oh, we got packs. Oh, we got this. Oh, we got that. We've got it all, And I'm like, well, let me ask you this. Let me take a look at your menu. And here's the thing. You've got all these products on a menu, Ken, and it's like, well, okay, you've got like 7 or 8 products on a menu. Do you present them all? No. Okay, well, I know that because you've got like 0% in a lot of these categories, these product categories. And so that's telling me something's not happening, right?
That's right.
And
I'll tell you, today's finance men and women are way better and sharper than they were 25, 30 years ago when I was, first coming around.
I don't know about.
Well, excluding you, they're better.
I think I've met a lot of good F&I people. Do not get me wrong. I absolutely have. Absolutely. Good. But I've been around. I've seen a lot out there, and you know what? We don't have training that
car back in.
It wasn't there, Ken.
Keep this in mind too. We made money. Well, we made money on the front end of cars, new cars too, very differently than we do today.
That's true too. We made
if you remember, if those of you that went to NADA Academy or that have gone through one of their courses, what NADA Academy and the numbers they teach you and the percentages are based on actual dealerships. And the way your store can be included in this compilation of numbers, back in the day, you had to be profitable in each department for your statement to even go in the mix, for it to be part of this composition.
Yeah.
So people may never remember this. Stores used to make money in new car, used car, in finance, in aftermarket, in parts, in service, all separately, each department. Now, and I'm not saying it's right, or I'm not taking a shot at anybody. Nowadays, we want to make some money at the end of the month on the statement, no matter how we get there. And there's ways to get there. Again, that's kind of this whole conversation about being a dealership or dealer group decision. If you're going to be a back end oriented store, it doesn't just happen. But I mean, if your advertising is your price, then you got to run $2,000 a car on the back. It may be how the store's set up, and you got to find the talent that can do it and do it the right way. But I think what I see today, I think today's finance men and women are sharper and better qualified. They're smarter than when I got, you didn't used to have to be all that smart to be in the car business. That's why I got in it. Nowadays, you got to be sharp. I got to let the dogs out. I'm coming right back.
Okay, so he leaves me all by myself, and so I got to go ahead and handle this, guys. I mean, can you believe this? Let's see if I can't just go ahead and take over. Look, I can take over. Here it is. I got this. Okay.
I'm back.
Oh, is he back? Okay, there we go. See, I was just going to take over because that's what I do best. I know how to take it over, Ken. And so I agree with him. And he's happy making $2,800 a month. And I don't know if that's back end, but I would be happy if I was making $2,800. But again,
who's happy? Who's happy making $2,800 a month?
And he's happy. I'm not sure how happy he is, but menu. What is that? Six. I love that. I don't know if you're saying that, but I'll tell you right now, isn't that the truth? They will not tell you if their life freaking dependent on it. They don't do menus. Do you know? Here's the thing. There's many stores that they can tell me until the cows come home that they're actually doing a digital menu. They're doing a digital menu presentation. That's not happening. It just isn't happening.
There's stores out there still not doing menus at all, and you would think we're probably 10 years into this, but I've recently spent time in one.
Yeah, they just don't see the need for it, and let alone digital menu. And it's really kind of I feel bad in a way for the dealer because they're spending all this money on this technology and nobody's using it, and they're not in the trenches enough to really see that it's not really being used that it should. And these other providers aren't going to tell them otherwise, right? They're like, keep it going.
So it's really they're kind of in a bad spot, right?
Yeah.
Because they're not worried about it because the finance people they have are running good numbers. But there's a problem with that because you don't know how they're running good numbers if there's no way to kind of see what they're doing.
That's right.
So again, it's just that turning the other cheek and just hoping that everything is okay.
Yeah. Well, I think that a lot of times there is a blind eye going on, and they think this is what's happening. That's what they're being told. That's what's happening. But in reality, it's really not happening, right? It's not. It may not be happening. And so Sandy says, I'm sure you don't want to hear me. We do want to hear you, Sandy. I absolutely want to hear you. Right, Ken?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And then we got screw NADA, new cars even, profit in the others. Agreed. But come on. There is money to be made on new cars. Absolutely, there's money to be made on new cars.
Yeah.
I work with dealers who kill it on the front end.
Yeah, I wasn't saying that there wasn't.
Lots of dealers out there that make $2,500 on the front end of a deal, and they're doing it. So it can be.
It depends on what. Let me go ahead and speak to that.
Okay.
It depends on what kind of store you're in, and again, what the dealer's philosophy is. It all depends. So I've seen dealers that just they want the plaque and they want the flag every month, and they're okay living off the program money, which means there's a ton of there's a franchise I don't want to mention, but and this person that says maybe they don't work at that franchise, but there's a franchise out there that the factory reps will come in and tell you that you're making too much money on a new car when you're still running a negative, because they want to sell more new cars to the dealer. they want to sell cars to the dealer because they get full sticker every time they sell it, and then it's the dealer's problem to sell it. So I don't want to call that franchise out, but they're out there, and that's part of the compression that goes on with new car growth. Yes, there's plenty of new car growth that can be made if you work the deals right, but there's another philosophy there. So the more deals with gross you get, and the higher your gross average is, I'd rather get more aggressive with that and pump the volume up.
Mhm.
So, rather than say we did the same amount of cars at a higher PVR, I'd rather do 25 more new cars that month, same amount of gross, if that makes any sense. Because your front end gross is going to fluctuate, but you got opportunities on the back end on each of those incremental deals.
Well, I think one of the things that I like to try, I tell dealers is that I don't rob Peter to pay Paul. And I've always felt that way. That's not my thing. I want you to ask, do your deal, and 100% of the time, all the time. The more consistent that we are on the front end, I hope you get it. Go for it. But, don't you dare go ahead and here we go again and pat yourself on the back, the chest on the freaking, I want to beat my chest, say how great I am. And the very first pencil that goes out is on extended terms, no money down, first pencil, no money down on a subvented interest rate. And I'm like, give me a break. All you know how to do is throw profit out the window. So when that happens, you have not much left to go ahead and make your own deal. And, so here's the thing. Before you go give them my profit, I'm going to go in there and do everything I can to stop it from happening. That's when it's like, okay, I'm drawing the line. You've already given up your profit. You're not giving up my profit, right? But it's like, if in fact, we can work a consistent presentation, train our sales staff to work a presentation, quit buying into the fact that in order for this customer to buy a car, we have to give away, we have to quote it with no money down or on extended terms. I can tell you how many times, we've gone out and presented that. Not necessarily. I'm not talking 36 months. I'm not doing all that. I don't believe in that. But, at 54, 60 months, something reasonable, with, 15 to 20% money down, something along those lines. And, hold back a little bit on the trade-in, for crap's sake. Come on. And utilize an average payment option, that sort of stuff. And I don't know, and work a freaking deal. And, let's again, I'm all about front end, back end, working together and making it all come together. That's really the way it needs to happen. That I don't think we're really doing a great job with that anymore. I think that we've got these guys giving up profit left and right. And I don't like the idea of desk managers. I've worked with some really good desk managers. Obviously, you know that. I really have. But I've also seen other desk managers, like, you've never been an F&I before. What are you doing up on the desk? What are you doing submitting deals and giving up all the profit? It just doesn't make any sense to me. And it's like, dealers don't even look at that. And I'm like, how do you not look at that? Back in our day, when I was doing F&I, we never allowed, I didn't care who you were. Sales manager submitting deals to a bank. Are you freaking kidding me? That's the last freaking thing that's ever going to happen. That's not happening. But we do that today because it's supposed to hopefully speed up the actual delivery time. And I get that, but it can really wreak havoc in F&I because these guys don't know their bank. They don't know their niche. And it can get out of hand easy, fast. And then, of course, if F&I's not getting out there and validating the transaction to make sure that it's straight, we got some problems on our hands.
I think that's where we get the issue, is that exact scenario right there. So F&I is in the office, not getting involved. This is the wrong scenario. This is what we're saying don't do. And you got the desk manager submitting the deals and clicking 8 banks, and there's no interview going on. That's a store that you would love to go into because you can help that store.
All day long.
That's a formula for low PVR if you do it that way, and also bad CSI, and you're going to have issues with salespeople versus F&I. I see more of that now than I ever thought I would, where the finance guys, the catch-all, and it's just not a good. It's not a good setup for that person to make a living, and it's not good for the customer either. It's terrible.
No,
a lot of people, a lot of desk managers now, we'll probably get a lot of them mad about that. I'm not saying it's wrong at all. It's just not the way I've seen it done for a long time, but I see it a lot now where the guys at the sales desk are the ones banking those deals.
well, I've seen a lot more than I like to see. Only, and again, I don't have a problem if they've been in F&I, they know what they're talking about, and they know how to work the banks. I'm good with that. I really am. It doesn't really bug me. But what bugs me is when we don't have that education and they have no idea. They don't even know their niche. I mean, I get comments like, oh, Beck, the bank's asking me to go ahead, and there's no go ahead and call it in. There's no look to book. We don't have to worry about that anymore. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? What do you mean there's no look to book? Okay, well, maybe there isn't no more consideration to look to book. But I'm telling you right now, here's what they don't want you to know. They don't want you to know your niche. Because if you got an extra $500 down on this deal, you might have been able to go ahead and take it to another bank to go ahead and get an approval that's far better than the approval that they would have given you. But no, guess what? You're not doing your due diligence, and you just don't know what you don't know, and you're costing me money. And by the time you screw it all, by the time you submitted the deal and it's already messed up, now I got to get it cleaned up. And now I got to figure out how am I going to talk this bank into this deal after you've quoted incorrect income. We've got the names all messed up. You submitted it inaccurately, and it's got hair all over the deal. Whereas if it was called in right to begin with, likely wouldn't have had a conditioned approval, and we're making more profit on the deal. But that's not. That's too easy. We can't do business that way. We got to complicate it. It just blows me away. We have to complicate this business to the point that not only we might sell cars, but we're not making any money doing it. So I don't know. Does that make any sense? No. And I'm not trying to be a smartass. I'm being real. Because that's what's happening in a lot of dealerships across the country. They're selling all the cars, they're feeling really good, but they're giving up all the profit.
So the banking needs to be left to the experts too, whether it could be the folks on the desk, but not just anybody ought to be clicking the buttons, because that you're asking for trouble that way. And sometimes you don't even know the money you're leaving on the table. You don't know. You get an approval, you print it off, and off you go. And nobody even works that deal on the back end.
And you know what? How many times and I'm not, maybe I am a little bit, but how many times has it been that I've gone out and I've met with a customer, reviewed the information, and fact find and put a deal and made a deal that much better? And I can tell you how many times I've went ahead and I've looked at this customer and looked at this car and go, this ain't working. We're not doing this. And I call that the Gil Nickerson deal.
Before it's too late. But that's before it's too late, because if you let them sit another hour and then get them in the finance office and then start down that road, you ain't going to be able to reset it.
Exactly. And so this is why, dealers are, having a hard time sleeping at night. I would think some of this, it's like, really, can we get this tighter? Can we do a better job with this? And here's what I think. If in fact, dealers would really think through, plan, strategize, maybe figure out a way to get that customer online earlier on. And even when they're in the dealership, I think that the likelihood is to get that customer on the right car that they actually qualify for. And when we can do that, we're going to shorten the time it takes to put a car deal together and actually make more, make the customer all that much happier, reduce the friction it takes, the time it takes to put a car deal together, and maximize our profits. So I asked a DP to give me, what? I asked a down payment to give me, and I don't know what that means. So I'm going to let you figure that one out. Hind. I asked a down payment. We always ask for down payment during the interview process. And so every single time I can get additional monies down. You know what I found out too? That every time I do that, and I might not get it of course I'm not getting it all the time. I'm not. But if I keep asking, I might get 10%. If I get 10%, what's that doing for my deals?
Sometimes it's the difference in getting it bought or not getting it bought.
Or it's the difference of not getting it bought. And you talk about, when we were talking about the payment plan, imagine if I just got 10% money down, how much that difference would make towards the payment, right? And my product.
So this whole conversation is I'm sure we didn't say anything new to anybody listening. They're all saying, I know all this. Yeah. Here's what I'll say, and this is what I told you earlier, that your good habits come from the tough times. And right now, this is a unprecedented time. I've been around for a minute. Never been through anything like this.
Yeah.
And so anytime things like this happen, it's a chance for us to, I like to say it's time to reset. And if you got it all going on and everything's perfect, hey, I'm proud of you. But if not, now's the time to look at every single part of your business and reset it and get it back on track and, correct things that maybe you turned the other cheek to because things were good. Because things were good. If you weren't doing well and making money prior to this COVID-19, you do need to take a look at your operation because we are in good economic times. And those times are going to come back really quickly. There's a pent-up demand. Now, when I say quickly, I don't mean tomorrow, but it's not going to be 2 or 3 years either.
Yeah, I think they call that the V thing, drop and then come back, and I don't know how quickly.
And I could be wrong. That's my opinion, because I still think the people out there are resilient, and I think it's going to come back. And because I'm seeing it. There's stores out there, you see them on Facebook that are having record months right now. Mm-hmm. In the middle of all this stuff. So if there's ever a time to take a look at every aspect of your business and your people, it's right now.
Yeah. Well, I think so. And I just really wanted to hit on, I really wanted to hit on what's going on, with our dealers and as far as, where is the true max? Where is that at? Is there a limit? And I don't know. I feel like, there is. And I also think that there is certainly a minimum, and dealers that are seeing less than $1,000 per car, like you said, they need to do something about it. They can't sit on this. And it could be very well a training issue. And it could be, are we making these guys accountable? Is it the front working with the back, working side by side? A couple times, not a couple, all the time. When I go into a dealership, I size up the entire process. It's not just, obviously I focus on F&I, but I can focus on F&I until the cows come home. If those deals are stuffed into F&I the wrong way, and we're up at the desk like a bunch of yahoos, and we're not very mindful, and we're just shotgunning deals and we're making everybody's life freaking, I'm selling cars today, but are they really selling cars? Are they closing the deal? Does the customer really understand all the terms of the sale before that deal makes its way into the F&I office? Is that really clear-minded? And if it's not, it needs to be. And I can tell you, I stop the BS. It's like, here's the thing. The deal's not straight. When the deal is straight, when the customer understands the terms of the sale, when they understand their payment range, the deal is closed. That's solid to me. If a customer doesn't understand the payment before they make their way into the F&I office, is it really closed? Is it really a closed deal? I don't think so. So I get the box closing, but are we really doing box closing still? Is that what we're really doing still?
I was getting ready to ask that. I mean, I know there are. I know there are stores that do it well. Again, that's a dealer or dealer group decision, but I don't see that as much.
I see that. Do we have trade? Well, we don't see it as much. I see a lot of trade difference going on, and where F&I is responsible to go to close the deal, and 50% of the time they do really awesome. The other 50% of the time, it's like, oh my God, talk about a grind. Now we got to walk the customer back out of the F&I office, and then let them figure it out, and either figure it out, cut the gross, do something, put them on another car, and make this thing happen. And so it's kind of tough to teach an old dog new tricks, especially if the dealer feels like, man, we're selling a lot of cars this way, and I'm making all the money this way. And then this is another conversation for another day. But okay, so how do you take a dealership like that into the 21st century and start talking about, well, we're going to address these components of the deal earlier on. The customer has a better understanding of what they qualify for. They can self-desk and determine payment options in advance before they ever make their way into the dealership. But like when they get there, what's going to happen? Because you know what? The culture of the dealership is like, let me tell you how we do this.
I think the customer will make that determination. You'll see a decline in business.
Yeah.
It's a customer based business. Mm-hmm. We have to adapt to how the customer wants to do business, whether we like it or not. And every time we've done it in all these years, and we all decide that the world's coming to an end, we come out of it better.
Yeah.
Menu was going to hurt us. Remember when you could sell 10 points on a loan?
I remember that.
Rate caps, when that happened, that was the end of the world. None of it. The more, I don't want to overuse this term. It's the only time I want to say it. The more transparent we are, it only helps us, because the customers are coming around. Just the reason F&I numbers are going up is the customers now are in their third, fourth, fifth purchase, and they chose to get GAP last time and an extended service plan. It was handled properly. I mean, that's a testament to people younger than me that have done it right. And I'm a believer that the ones out there today are as sharp as I've ever seen.
Yeah, I've seen some sharp ones. Definitely some really good guys out there and gals out there that are phenomenal. I mean, financing amounts have increased substantially, and so has the terms. And many of back, and I hate to age myself, but we had terms 72 months. We had a lot of terms 60 months. We didn't have terms
63 months. I remember when 63 month was the big deal.
That's right. And
that 3 months was a game changer.
Yeah. But you know what? We did help. I remember, when we used to hold our 10 points, and, and as long as I got to take, we all got to take care of. And it's like, but massive chargebacks can be massive chargebacks. But I remember when that whole thing stopped after Nissan, and they had their lawsuit and they lost, and Ford and the rest, like, we're not doing this anymore. And you would think that hit the fan, it was like, oh my God, the sky is falling. How are we going to sell our stuff, Becky? We can't make money on points. I guess, well, you have to make it on products, right? And then the 0% financing came in. It was like 0% financing. Are you kidding me? How are we ever going to make any money like this, Becky? Like, well, I guess you have to go ahead and sell your products, right? So, yeah, go figure. And you're right. And we didn't lose it. I mean, we made more. We actually ended up making more because of it. It was the complete opposite. So
the customer wasn't in this bad spot where they're in the finance office having this uncomfortable rate discussion. Once that thing is put to bed, everything else is a whole lot easier once you overcome the rate discussion. So the 0% just made them come into the office way less apprehensive.
oh, look who stopped in. Mr. Adam Aarons. You remember Adam? Mr. Adam Aarons is here. Mr. Adam Aarons, so glad. I don't know how long you've been back there, but thank you for stopping in. I definitely appreciate it. He is he is my mentor. I mean, he's the one who got me all started with menu selling anyway. So that's Adam. So yeah, so I think that at the end of the day, we just really have to think outside the box. Let's all kind of. Here's what I don't want to forget. I don't want to forget the importance of getting out there, meeting customers on their terms. Why can't we give customers more information earlier on? Why all the games? And so with that,
there's 100 reasons to do it. But there's nothing wrong with number one being you're going to make more money if you do it that way.
Well, I think that people don't realize that you can make more money and still be upfront. And the more consistent that you are, and the more more skill set that you have, the more profitable that you'll be. And you'll be able to retain your customers, have better CSI, better Google reviews, and less chargebacks. I mean, it is what it is, and it's been proven time and time again. But the guys and gals who shoot from the hip, who are playing games, who can't work a menu, and here we got menu works, period. Yay! Who is that? Tell me who you are. Menus definitely work. They're probably coming in from the F&I Today side. I don't know who it is, but is that Matt? I don't know. What could be Brian for all I know. But menus do work, and I think that I've worked with some of the best in the industry who have told me, Becky, here's the thing: I take my menu with me wherever I go. It is never leaving me. I always take my menu with me, because then that person gets the concept behind it. They really get the concept behind it. So I really want to thank you so much, Ken, for coming on the F&I on the Edge. It's certainly a pleasure to have you here with me tonight, F&I on the Edge, and talking through some of this good stuff, what's going on in the car business, how we're handling our F&I stuff now, and hopefully in the future, and where we're going with this whole thing. So again, thank you for being here with me, Ken. Second time out.
Thank you for having me. I like what you do, and I love all the comments. And I get excited. I've been doing this going on 30 years now, and I love seeing new people get into this business and see what a good living they can make doing it, and doing it the right way. So we need to do more of that, recruiting more, showing them it's a good job. It's a good way to make a living. It's a great career. Car business has been very good to me. So things like this help everybody. So I appreciate what you do.
Well, thank you. Let me see. We have one more comment tonight. Adam, menu holds everyone accountable, including the customer. Yes, it does. I mean, it makes all the difference in the world. But, so I just feel like if we have a plan and we're consistent with that plan, you can't go wrong. You really just can't go wrong. If you have a consistent product pricing component, again, it just makes it all that much easier. And the thing that I've always said, that confidence just breeds more profit. If I have to, think about what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, have to cringe with what I'm doing, chances are I'm not going to be as successful. But if I'm going in with confidence and I know I'm doing the right thing, the sky's the limit. And I'm not picking and choosing who I'm going to sell who to, at what product, at what price. It's like, this is my product, here's my pricing, and this is how we do shit. And it sticks. It just sticks. And confidence just sells. So with that, I'm glad you jumped on with us, Adam. It's a pleasure to see you guys. And thank you so much, Ken, again, for being on here with me tonight. And it certainly was, I have been talking to Ken about this for how many years now?
Long time.
I said, come on, Ken, you can do this. And he's like, yeah, I'm like, come on, Ken, we can make this thing happen. Let's go. Let's make it happen. I'm so glad you jumped out of it and decided, hey, I'm going to do this come heck or high water, and I'm going to figure this out. That's what it takes. That's what it takes. And some of the guys and gals said, I'm a little uncomfortable with camera. I don't know. I just don't know how good I feel out here. It's uncomfortable. I get it. But you do it a couple times, you're fine. You're good. It's the guys and gals who sit back and refuse to change, right?
Yeah. So just remember this term. You're going to hear more of it. It's time to reset. And I would say everybody do a 90-day reset, whether it's your department, it doesn't matter what position you're in, and see if you can't come out of this thing better like we're supposed to when things like this happen.
That's right. Reset. Time to reset. And then, I've got a major campaign out there right now. And it's all about time. Is it time for a new M&I partner? And if you're thinking that it is, I'm telling you, now's the time to really make a difference and reset and check it all out, right? And check it out. Because sitting back thinking that things are going to get back to, or you hope to move forward or go back to the way that it used to be, I think it's kind of like probably not the smartest thing to do. So I think it's important that you evaluate where you're going and what your needs are. So Adam, didn't say anything. Okay. But anyway, so thank you again, Ken. I appreciate you coming out, and let's do this again.
Absolutely.
Pleasure. Evan and I on the edge. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. And we are coming out. Here we go.